Yo, 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 it is Threadguy. We are back live at IRL Alpha in Venice, California. If you don't know, there'll be a pop-up somewhere here on the screen. Give them some love, our favorite resident studio. We got a very special podcast episode today. I'm joined by the CEO of Doodles. We got Julian here with us live. Julian, absolute pleasure. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me. This place is pretty dope. I'm not going to lie.
It's something, right? And welcome to California as well. I don't even know if I asked you, like, what brings you all to LA? Why are you in California right now?
We got some music meetings. It's Grammy week, so a lot of people are here. I got a little networking to do, got a little work to do.
Word. So Grammy week is probably a big one for you, like, historically, yeah?
Big time, big time. We used to, at Billboard, we used to do a ton Grammy week. There's always this big Power 100 event where, like, the top 100 music executives come together. The show itself, Grammy week's gotten bigger. Even though the award show's gotten a little smaller, everything around it's gotten pretty crazy.
Is that something I'm like missing out, not being at the actual events on?
Probably. We might have to change that.
Yeah?
Spotify's got a crazy ass new artist party every year.
Really?
Yeah, TikTok does stuff. Like TikTok's on some heat right now with Universal, but
I saw that actually. That's pretty crazy.
it's so crazy. They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out?
Yeah, but it's so crazy.
Okay, word. Now we'll definitely talk. We'll talk some Grammy stuff, talk some offline of events or whatever it is. Dude, it's been a crazy couple, I want to say year, but the past couple months specifically has been pretty wild. If we're looking at the market, we're looking at NFTs, sentiment, ETF news, all of that. I think specifically for Doodles, it seems to be just like a shift in the energy around Doodles, sentiment, how people talk about it. Obviously, price is price and price reflects it, but we're not here really to talk about price, but just from like a community sentiment vibes perspective, for lack of a better term, it feels like things are starting to really pick up with Doodles. Do you feel this as well?
Yeah, for sure. We've made a pretty conscious effort to be a lot more present and have a lot of people from the company talking about what we're doing, like trying to give people more insight into the process. I've had a pretty core philosophy my entire career, which is just keep your head down, work, and let the product speak for itself. I don't think that works in Web3. I think in Web3, because there's such a culture around it, there's so much love and ambition and, like real genuine interest in what you're doing, that if you're not really showing up, if you're not really like being a part of the culture, you're not really in Web3. And I think we've done so much work during the bear market. We've had our heads down. We've been working really hard. We know that the results are going to speak for themselves when they actually start, rolling out. But I think like the thing that I've learned a lot of in the last 18 months is like, you got to show up, and that is a mandate across the company now. We're showing up, and I think the community is feeling it. Like the fact that we're even coming up in, conversations that we probably weren't coming up in through like, I'd say even August of September, it's encouraging for us. And we're just, we're happy people are starting to feel the positivity again.
Is it like difficult for you to know, you're in these crazy meetings, you're in the background building all of this stuff that you and internally know is the thing, but publicly you sort of can only say so much, and especially when you're not as active on socials and the community's antsy, like, is it sort of difficult for you to focus on the actual product in the background, but still like stay present, as you put it? I like that word.
For me particularly, it's actually hard. I have to like really try to think about what I say, because I'm not just one of those people that can like off the cuff tweet like what's on my mind. And like, I really think about what I'm going to put on Twitter, what I'm going to put in Discord. Like, it's just kind of like how I was conditioned. Like, you really think about what you put in writing. To your point, like, being present is important. So like that is worth the time, like stopping, thinking about some of the really interesting insights I have, like the way I see the world, the way I see like our industry progressing, the media industry, like the things that we're trying to disrupt. Like, I do have a very, I think, strong point of view on all that stuff. And I think people really like hearing about it, as does a lot of the team from a product perspective, an engineering perspective, a business development, creative. Like, we have so many talented people at our company, and just getting a little insight into how we think and how we work, I think makes our community feel a lot closer to us, and also validates like, yeah, why are we going to ride with them while the price is low? Why are we going to ride with them while things are down? and knowing a little bit more about what we're up to and like being able to vibe with that, I think is awesome. And do I wish like after any big meeting I have, I could like hop to Twitter and be like, yo, you don't even understand what we talked about? Like, yeah, of course. But I think the thing that I think this year, no one's really going to be confused about what Doodles is doing behind the scenes. No one's ever really going to probably fully understand, other than people that work in entertainment and media, like how many conversations it takes to put together some of the things that we're rolling out. But at the end of the day, like this is going to be a big year, and we're pumped for the community to feel it.
Do you think prior to like 2024 and this year, it has been confusing as to what exactly Doodles is, the niche you fill, sort of the lane that they really want to carve out?
I think so. I think like our biggest challenge it's been communications. It's been contextualizing why we're doing what we're doing versus just showing people what we're doing. And that's something I think some other projects in our space do really well. And I don't think we've done a very good job of that. I still stand by a lot of the decisions we've made, but were some of them timed in the wrong way? Were some of them not contextualized the right way? Were some of them, the community didn't feel it the way we felt it, whatever it might be? Probably to all of those things. And I think the thing that you're going to start to see this year, and I think what people have already started to see, is like, okay, why are they doing this, right? Like, why are they doing this brand collaboration? Why does music take so goddamn long? Why do all of these things take a long time? And usually the answer is like, we're prioritizing like making it really, really good. But at the end of the day, you know, we got to get better at giving people what they want. And what they want is a look under the hood and understanding why we're doing what we're doing.
The communication thing is funny too, because like you make one comment about anything and then CT is like some hungry dog. So they jump to it, whether it's good, bad, taken out of context, indifferent. 100%. They jump on and it's tweet here, space here, FUD title here. Like it gets crazy fast. I like that you commented on it. We got to talk a little off the air here just about Doodles, things you are working on, etc. How do you view Doodles and like what niche and lane it sort of fills long term here? You know, we talked a little bit about Pudgy Penguins. I think that's a project that's really sort of carved out the physical collectibles, the brand IP, the toys, the licensing. They've sort of like really carved their niche out, I think. Yuga Labs is another one that sort of planted their flag in the sand and said, we're building games. Like we are creating games. We're building towards this other side vision. Like when you look at Doodles and sort of internally, what 2024 looks like, but what 2030 looks like, what 2035 looks like where do you see that going?
I look at us as a next generation entertainment and media company. Like we're not just making toys and apparel. We're not just making media content. We're not just making live events. Like the point is that we have a brand and characters that are going to be present in all those areas. So when I say next gen entertainment company, I mean the way that people think of media and entertainment today and the way that people have traditionally created and distributed it was very narrow. You'd make a movie, you'd make a television show, and you would create campaigns around that. So like Game of Thrones comes out, around that time all the toys for Game of Thrones come out, and then after Game of Thrones is over, what is the only thing that gets you from one season to the next? Game of Thrones isn't active, right? Their social accounts are not like driven by culture and them having a voice on social. It's like a marketing vehicle for them. Like it's the community, it's the fan fiction, it's the theories, it's all those things that, you know, fans of these franchises like talk about in between seasons. The future, in my opinion, of entertainment, because there's so much content out there, you're going to have to be present in people's lives every day. You're going to have to know who your most hardcore and loyal community members or fans are. And I don't think the big entertainment companies of the world really have a way of doing that right now.
Interesting.
So Doodles, yes, we're going to have TV shows and movies and music and stuff that people find really familiar, but we're also going to have native content that meets people where they are. Where are people? They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're in gaming environments, they're at live events. Like they go to places like the Museum of Ice Cream so they can snap a social photo and share that with their friends. Like at the end of the day, people want to have IP present in their life every day, or they're going to need that. And I think that's not only the case for media IP, like the Hunger Games of the world, like the DC universes, Marvel, Minions, etc. It's also the case for brands. Brands are starting to create entertainment content around their characters. So Target thinking through what stories Bullseye the dog can tell. McDonald's thinking about the Hamburglar and Grimace and all the ways that they can actually have that character have a voice on social. So you're not just talking to McDonald's, the corporation, you're talking to this character. We're getting briefs at Golden Wolf right now about how you bring some of the biggest IP in the world, because we work with some of the biggest entertainment companies as a service provider for Golden Wolf, how you bring characters that have solely existed in streaming and movies and give them life on TikTok and Instagram. What does it mean to have a character that everybody knows and loves in certain environments to actually be a thing on social platforms and to actually have a two-way communication with followers and community? This thing is changing so much that when you think about how fragmented all of those consumer touch points are, you think of the Disney flywheel, live events, home entertainment, movies, toys, games, etc. Most IP have no way of directly talking to their community. Most IP licenses their IP out to retail, to movie studios, to publishing companies, et cetera, and those are the people that own the relationship with the consumer. NFTs, blockchain infrastructure, if we have somebody listening to a song on Spotify and they can hit the QR code and get pulled back into an environment that we own by getting a collectible, and then all of a sudden we start really understanding who our community is because they're engaging with more content, and they can start earning more things by collecting and engaging and taking part in our ecosystem more. Now we have a direct one-on-one relationship with our consumers that most entertainment IP has never really had.
Do you think that Web 2 or mainstream entertainment IP, like, do they, because you're in a lot of these meetings, you talk to a ton of brands, you talk to a ton of companies, corporations, whatever, that are massive. Do they see this like fundamental shift happening? Like, are they watching this and they're like, oh shit, we need to like move now? Or is it a thing where like many of them, sort of these legacy brands, are already huge, they're already massive, why, change it if it's not broken?
I think they definitely recognize it. I think it's really difficult for them to move on things like this, especially with how fast it happens, because they have to report to their shareholders every 90 days, right? Like, these are big publicly traded companies. So if you decide, hey, I want to go take SpongeBob SquarePants and make a whole like digital universe around it, and like you want to pour a ton of money into that and like really lead the way, you have to explain that to your shareholders. And your shareholders are not going to understand why you're not just like doing the thing that you know how to do. So these companies are so big, it takes them weeks to even get meetings on the calendars. By the way, I'm not like knocking these companies. These companies still own all the distribution in the world. But at the end of the day, it's hard for big companies like that to keep up with the pace of innovation. And that's why the biggest owners of distribution in entertainment right now are Netflix, Amazon, Apple. So when you think about the way like we're moving and how we don't have all that baggage that a lot of these companies have. And I really think with the emergence of social media and like these gaming platforms like Fortnite and Roblox, the entertainment companies were not prepared for how fast things were going to move from broadcast to cable to streaming, and how fast it's actually gone from streaming to social and gaming environments. Netflix says, like the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, has said, our number one competitor is not anybody that you're thinking. It's probably Fortnite.
That's crazy.
And it's because you're fighting for time and attention. And like, think of young people. They're not just like sitting down and watching Netflix. Yeah. They're on their phones all day.
The iPad kids.
100%. And I think like that creates an opportunity for people like a Doodles, like a Pudgy, like an Azuki to show the world a new way to create and monetize intellectual property. And we're going to move like, at the end of the day, the biggest IP in the world is still going to endure for a long time. But if Mickey Mouse doesn't show up on TikTok and and you only can watch Mickey in Disney Plus, eventually that's going to lose its relevance.
Absolutely. Out of sight, out of mind is real.
Bro, 100%. And if you're going to launch new IP, are you saying the best way to actually do it is to throw it on one of these streaming services that people don't even want to watch anymore? It's new. Everything is new. So when we say next gen entertainment company, like if we have a short film running here and music running here and a capsule collection with a brand partner going here and a live event that you can go to here, and all of those touch points come back into our platform, the studio, you're talking about a brand new way of bringing IP to market with the added benefit of kind of being able to align incentives with the community and make them feel like they're part of your IP and not just passive viewers like it's pretty much been throughout history.
Interesting. It feels like one of the most prominent themes in the shift you just discussed is speed, right? Speed is sort of everything. It's, how fast we scroll, how fast things move, how fast things are getting built, AI. I mean, we go down a million rabbit holes. It feels like Doodles has made pretty large moves that have been public but haven't quite gotten the coverage that maybe they deserve. I'm curious with Golden Wolf, that you've now mentioned a couple times. How has that addition to like the Doodles ecosystem just like changed the way that you think about rollouts and like the tools in your toolkit that you're able to work with, the things you can build, the things you can create, and kind of comes back to that speed theme?
It changed everything. So if the number one content format now in 2024 is short form video, think about what owning an advertising agency does. They've only created short form content for their entire life cycle. 30-second ads, 90-second ads, 6-second ads, 15-second ads. Like that is the way people consume content today. And it is driving more and more towards like branded entertainment. So having Golden Wolf in-house and not needing to go contract out to another production company, it can't be overstated how valuable that is for us. We are going to look like it took a while to acquire them. It took a while to integrate them. You're talking about like crazy amount of legal framework, paperwork. You're talking about like actually integrating a staff, like different human resources policies, like a lot of bullshit that you don't really like. But once they're in, and now they're in, and everything is like kind of gotten started since August, like really hit the ground running. Like no one's going to be able to keep up with the amount of stuff we're going to be able to produce because it's all internal and it's efficient because we own it. We don't have to go pay those third-party rates, and we're getting all the insights from what the biggest players in the world are asking for. Yeah, like our biggest clients at Golden Wolf are Epic Games. We work with Disney. We work with Nike. We work with Paramount. Like wild. That stuff is a huge door opener for Doodles. And when you look at the fact that Golden Wolf is incubating the next generation formats for IP through Doodles, think of the value that might have to some of Golden Wolf's clients. Like we are taking a brand and turning it into an entertainment property through all of the different formats that I just mentioned. Like Disney, you want some of that sauce? Like Paramount, you want some of that sauce? Like we're literally doing it right now.
It feels like one of those moves that for like holders and floor price isn't like sexy necessarily until it is, and all the things sort of catch up. So it's honestly the contracting part is wild to hear. There's Epic, there's Nike, there's all these massive companies involved. So it's cool to hear about Golden Wolf. I guess sort of just going back to this like fundamental shift that's happening, and it's happening on the front lines of Web3 and NFTs and blockchain and really the culture. It's obviously a trend you noticed, right? You noticed it when you were not in the space. You made the move, came on to Doodles as CEO. I want to ask about that. When did it happen, and what was the like motivation? Oh shit, I need to make this move, and it's Doodles is where I need to go.
I really started paying attention in like early 2021 when Top Shot hit. And I was blown away with the fact that this legacy IP could create a new product around monetizing moments, because that's what Top Shots are, right? Like people look at them as digital trading cards. That's cool. But like the reason why you'd want to collect a Top Shot is because you want to feel connected to a moment, right? Like if you're a Laker fan and like you remember that moment of LeBron hitting a three, or you want to speculate on that moment about LeBron hitting a three, like to win some game or whatever, like, yeah, you're going to want your hands on that the same way you might want your hands on a game-worn jersey from that exact moment. And the world is getting more digital, not less. So obviously thinking about a world where digital collectibles are a thing, and the fact that like through blockchain infrastructure, that's the first time you can actually own anything digitally, I was kind of like, that's really interesting. So I got connected to Roham through the founder of Dapper, through Andrew Gertler, who's Shawn Mendes' manager. I was like, hey, I would love for you guys to build this for us, but for the Billboard charts, because I saw like a huge parallel. Like you have moments in the NBA that you're minting and creating a collectible ecosystem around. Like, you know how much content we have where people hit chart positions for the first time? Dua Lipa gets her first #1. Taylor Swift debuts her whole album in the top 10 of the Hot 100. Drake is the first artist since the Beatles to have the top 3 songs from his album on the top 10 of the Hot 100. And it was like, it was a big thing because the Billboard charts were, it's like the official scoreboard of music. Like you can't really be #1 until you're #1 on Billboard. So you can say I'm #1 on Spotify, you can say I'm #1 on Apple Music, but if you're not #1 on Billboard, you're not capturing the whole world. That was what was really special about the charts. So I was like, let's go do Top Shot for music. Let's connect the fan and the artist. And if you collect a certain amount, you can unlock access to concerts, you can get backstage, whatever, right? Like you kind of get the idea there. Roham and I actually ended up seeding this company, and it was like a team of engineers that did like, you know, the original US launch of TikTok. They were into Blockfolio. Like they're still pumping, actually. It's a company called Unblocked. And they built out the Billboard, it was called Chart Stars platform.
Really?
So through me being in business development and needing to grow the Billboard brand and leveraging new technologies to do that, I learned about this. And I didn't like get into any mints. I wasn't really buying NFTs in 2021, so I missed all the good shit. But but I learned a lot. We launched the Billboard platform with The Weeknd. His song Blinding Lights broke the record for #1 Hot 100 song of all time. So we actually put him on the cover of the magazine. We created a physical card with this guy that actually created the Exquisite collection. For,
really?
Yeah, like these old basketball cards. So he made these cards, and then we did it. It came with like 1 of 7 NFT that you could buy also. And we did it with autographs. So like it was this whole thing, did a partnership with World of Women. And I just like started networking and learning. And then the first IP or the first art that I really liked where I was like, I have to buy that was Doodles. The first NFT I actually bought was World of Women, but Doodles was the first one where I was like, that I've never really seen anything like
This is
that.
global.
That's pretty cool. And then I got introduced to the guys and, you know, Jordan, Evan, and Scott. They were at a time where like, you know, you think like late 2021, early 22, like every music manager, every talent agency, they were all over the hottest projects. And I think everybody was like, Doodles has it. Like they really have a special thing when it comes to like the Web3 expertise, the cultural marketing, the fact that like Scott was a renowned artist even before this project even launched. So I just started consulting and helping them out a little bit as they tried to navigate what is a really complicated entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
It kind of took off from there. That coincided with all the VC money pouring into the space. And it was the kind of thing where I was like I can't remember whose idea it was for us to actually like do this together for real. We ended up coming to that decision. I had to do a lot of coaching with my wife and telling her like, like, dude, I left my career like literally in its prime. Like it was not a clean exit from Billboard. Like people were not happy. Like, you know, I'm like 37 years old, president of the biggest music media company in the world. And it was a pretty gut-wrenching decision.
How do you make that decision? Like, how do you, even seeing the grass on the other side, like, how do you just like uproot, like you said, one of the most prestigious positions? You're young, you're in the prime of it, like family, everything's good, taken care of, not a care in the world. How do you like uproot that and just say, fuck it, I'm going to Doodle?
Dude, honestly, man, I didn't give a shit about the hype in 2021 and 2022. Like it was cool that like people thought these things were really valuable and the prices were really high. What really blew me away was how the technology was going to create new consumer experiences and different relationships and put more power into the hands of creators and IP owners, where in the past, it's really all been owned by distribution. Like if you didn't own the distribution, you didn't own your audience and you couldn't monetize your audience. And that blew me away. Like you could create a deeper relationship with your fans. You can cultivate real community, and you can create an opportunity to grow together. That really blew my mind. And after I kind of started learning, I couldn't really sleep at night. Like I'd always wanted to leave the big job and do something entrepreneurial, but nothing ever felt right. Like there was a couple times where I almost took the jump and, you know, did a couple other things that probably wouldn't have worked out that well. And this has been a wild ride, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like I've learned more in the last 18 months than I have in my entire career. It's been remarkable. And like, yeah, my family's been through it. Like, dude, I'll never forget when we told my parents and my wife's parents, they couldn't sleep. They were like, what are you talking about? It was like, no one could get it. And it was also the kind of thing where like, they also loved the perks of
I can imagine,
going to the award shows and the concerts and everything,
the box seats.
But yeah, man, I mean, like if you have conviction about something and you know it deep down, like it doesn't really matter how you get there. Like I know we're getting to where this thing can go, and I know this space is the future of entertainment, whether entertainment knows it or not.
I commend the conviction. It's a pretty wild story. And what's actually crazy to me is that you ended up on Flow prior to Doodles. I also got started with Top Shot in like late 2020, coming from the reselling scene. And Top Shot was everything. It also at the time looked like Flow was kind of everything. And I mean, I want to ask, like, do you, like, obviously times have changed since 2021. In a sense, feel like maybe Solana has gotten some of the coverage that Flow maybe deserved at one point, while still in a good position, partnership with every major, NBA, MLB, every major, UFC, every major, Disney, all the big IPs. Do you at all feel like Flow and being on Flow, working with Flow is like bottleneck of Doodles?
Flow is incredible. Like our product on Flow is incredibly important to our ecosystem. Like we look at it as like the net to create the kind of experience that we want that will ultimately funnel people into other experiences with Doodles. I'd say that the community and the market wanted something different at the time when we launched it. And I think like our culture at Doodles has very much been like kind of against the grain, like really lead with what we think is the right direction. And I think that's served Doodles really well to this point. But I think that the timing of it was not exactly what the market wanted or what our community wanted. So I think like we don't have any regrets about the decision. Like we are very long on Flow. We believe like what the chain is capable of, the moves that they're making towards decentralization, like the fact that they can onboard places like Disney and the NBA and the UFC and Mattel and Dr. Seuss. Like these are really big partners who are legitimately investing real money and infrastructure into the space. Granted, some of them are doing it as a bit of a test, but at the end of the day, no regrets. I think the decision is going to make a lot more sense to people when like it's working, right? Like we're building in public right now, and you know, not everybody's going to understand every decision that we make. But again, we don't do the best job of contextualizing why these things matter. And Flow may have been a year or 2 years ahead of its time, but like with what we have coming this year and the way that Flow is going to be activated with the stuff that we have on Ethereum and other ecosystems, like people will get it. It doesn't have to be one or the other. We very much believe that the piping under the hood is not really going to matter from a consumer experience perspective, but there is culture that lives on Solana. There's culture that lives on ETH. And I think that's the thing that we underestimated a little bit.
On the other side of it, though, it's sort of there is culture on ETH, there is culture on Solana, and there's a lot of money and attention on Flow. There will be culture on Flow, and it's sort of like Doodles are on the front lines of that, right? Like really building the foundation. And correct me if I'm wrong, but all the trait swapping, interoperability, that's all on Flow, right?
Yeah. So it's basically like our avatar platform. Okay. You can create your own Doodle, and you can equip your doodle with wearables, so their own singular NFTs. And then once you equip your doodle with whatever, like, you know, clothing, apparel, accessories you want, you can mint it, and then that will become its own NFT. And then Flow has some like really interesting functionality coming where you might be able to actually bridge those tokens to Ethereum and then actually like start selling that stuff on Ethereum. I think
Interesting.
Yeah, I think interoperability is going to become a much bigger thing in the future. And that's why I think I think, you know, kind of like the token meta right now, like the multi-chain meta right now, I think all that stuff is like really healthy for the space. Because I heard Yat from Animoca say it once. He's like, you know, think of protocols and blockchains like cities, right? Like you could be an artist in North Dakota and create this amazing art, but if you want to go sell your art and make money on it, go to New York, go to Hong Kong, go to Los Angeles, right? Like if you want to make money on something, probably do it on Ethereum, right? Like if you want to build whatever utility you're looking for, then choose that protocol based on that utility. And that's very much how we've been operating, but we're going to be a multi-chain brand 100%.
And I mean, the chain agnostic idea seems pretty clearly like the direction that we're going. I imagine it matters less and less that you're on Flow versus Solana versus Aptos versus Sui, whatever it is. You said the word token. You said the word, I didn't say it. The space is in a little bit of an interesting place, I think. Obviously, the bear market was long, it was rough. Now we're sort of back into the music it's on, but it's quiet and maybe getting louder, but it's a little bumpy here. But there very much is this like hunger from the NFT community that's back. And they're like, we want it now. We want free money. We want whatever it is that will deliver that to us. Obviously, the token comes to the forefront of the mind, and it feels like it's token season right now. I mean, just as like directly as I could ask you, like, how does Doodles even think about token? Is that something you would consider down the line? Is it in the roadmap pipeline already? Like, how does Doodles think about token?
I mean, I can't say anything right now, obviously, but I think like for the right ecosystem, for the right play, like it makes a lot of sense for projects. Like I think it really depends. It's not something to rush. It's not something to do on a whim. It's not something to attach to a ecosystem or project just because of whatever the trend is at the moment. Like that's a lifelong commitment, and it's something that if executed well, it can create a lot of interesting opportunities for holders, for the company, for, you know, like anybody that would choose to kind of partake in that ecosystem. And I think like just the thesis of it in as far as like interoperability is concerned, like being able to play and do things and earn in one area and then be able to take like, you know, your rewards and bring that into another ecosystem for somewhere that you might not have been playing and earning. Like I really believe in all that. I really believe in tokenization in general. And it's just like, if we do anything like that, it's really got to be the right move.
It's one of these things where it's like, you can always launch it. You can never unlaunch it. Like you can never pull that back out. Right? You can always push it back. You can always delay it. You can always push. You can never pull it back out. I would imagine this hunger and holder psychology, especially right now where it's sort of like nothing matters, give me free money, has to be weighing and daunting on your shoulders a little bit as you build. Like, I'm curious, relating it back to your previous position at Billboard, how different is it trying to like satisfy customers or holders' needs from the business prior, now coming into Web3 where it's like, give me money, give me money, give me money?
I guess my thing is like, I kind of like, I really get the sentiment. You know what I mean? Like it was never a thing at Billboard. The closest thing I could compare it to, there was never an expectation from like customers that there is in Web3 because they were truly just customers. Holders, in our opinion, aren't just customers. It's a very different thing.
For sure.
But the passion that people had for artists was really crazy. And I feel that a lot in Web3. I'll never forget, there was a Dua Lipa song that was going to go #1.
Okay.
But then there was like a bunch of like botted streams on Amazon. So we had to remove those streams. And this is like a thing that happens all the time. It's not like, but the race was so close that it like those streams actually were the difference between her being #1 and #2. So she ends up getting bumped down to #2. Her fans went ballistic. Like I was literally getting DMs like, you hate Albanians, you're a scumbag.
No
like
way.
It was crazy. The passion that they have for their favorite artists and like what they're willing to do to propel them to success. I feel a lot of that in Web3. Like communities feel
interesting
ownership and feel like a lot of the build is on them at the end of the day. And I feel like if as an NFT project and a company that's building in Web3, you can make them feel like they're part of it because they are, which maybe we haven't done the best job of that in the last 18 months, but like we believe that the community is part of the IP, not just like passive viewers. And I think that has been like the biggest eye-opening thing for me moving from Web 2 to Web 3. Like the passion that people have is pretty crazy. And like the point you made about like free money, I think that like is a lot of the space, and I think that's the loudest part of the space. But I do feel like people really love the connection, the way that NFTs make us feel like kids again. Like I mean, that was one thing I got really quick. Like when I launched my Doodle into space, like that was like a kid moment for me. I used to like, you know, pull like rare fucking pogs out of like the pack, you know, like I really think that over time we're gonna, just like any collectibles market, people are gonna speculate, prices are gonna go up and down. And at the end of the day, communities are going to want specific rewards. Everybody's going to do things differently. And I think like what we have planned this year is probably going to make people pretty happy.
You know, one of the verticals that doesn't inherently lead to free money, but it's just like vitally important for what you're trying to do as an IP, as a brand, is the partnerships angle. And it feels like, I don't know exactly when, how, since you've been a part of Doodles, it's been a vertical that's been pushed really hard. And it also feels like Doodles, as we saw day one, as you mentioned, when you bought a Doodle, is like quite literally prime to be mainstream IP. Like, I'm just curious how you think about partnerships with Doodles. And also, am I right on saying it's been a pretty significant emphasis over the last like 18 months with the company?
Major, and it will continue to be. Go look at who follows G-Shock and Crocs. Like, we're in culture, for real. Like, the people that influence and make culture know exactly what Doodles is, and they know exactly what we're building. That is priceless when you're talking about actually getting into the hearts and minds of people around the world. Another brand sees us partner with G-Shock. Damn, that's cool. Like, why are we not talking to Doodles? Crocs, damn, that's cool. Why are we not talking to Doodles? How do you think like Kith got started back in the day? And how do you think they like started to build a lot of notoriety for themselves? They did a ton of collaborations, a ton of brands. Like G-Shock has almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And those are all people that love G-Shock. They're their most core consumers. Same thing with Crocs. So all of a sudden we're putting content out with them. People are seeing Doodles. J Balvin, Ed Sheeran, John Mayer, all these people follow G-Shock. They're seeing Doodles. You can't really put a price on that, and it's not going to become clear to people until it's really obvious. These brand deals, and like, you know, the G-Shock one came out today. It's, you know, incredible. Like, it is just the tip of the iceberg for what we have this year. And I put so much value on integrating into culture with people that are a real part of culture. And Crocs is a real part of culture. G-Shock is a real part of culture. Kim Kardashian just bought the one that Pharrell auctioned on his auction house platform,
G-Shock?
Jupiter. Yeah.
Really?
Iced out G-Shock that Pharrell created back in the day. Yeah, she was wearing it courtside at the Laker game.
That's fucking
like,
sick.
No, it's like we want to be in culture with people that are already influencing culture, but doing it in an organic way. We're not just going to partner with anybody. Like I'd probably be pretty hard pressed to find a way to work with Goodyear tires. Never say never. But like my point is like if we can find brands that really align with us, like somebody said like Doodles and Play-Doh, that would be fire. Are you kidding me? That would be crazy. And not just crazy for kids. Like think of all the holders and all the adults and everybody that used to play with Play-Doh as a kid.
Of course.
Everybody loves pastels and Scott's color palette, good luck trying to be a Web3 company and launch anything in that color.
Yo, how the hell did you guys nail that color palette? Like,
dude, it's Scott. It's been Scott from the beginning. Like, he's been cultivating this for 10 years. That's also one of the most slept on things, I think, in Web3.
It is, yeah.
Like, he's burnt toast. Like, everybody has a 1 of 10,000 burnt toast. And shit, keep me honest. Is it 32, Austin? How many hand-drawns? It's a small amount of hand-drawns.
Redacted amount.
Actually did, like, by hand, and they're one of ones. Like, Scott's a real artist. Like, he just did a gallery show with Ross and Kramer Gallery. Who was selling pieces for $20,000. Like, insane. No, to me, he's the modern-day Dr. Seuss. Like, he does product design. He wrote all the characters for this project that we have coming. He set the foundation for all the storytelling and the lore and the development. He inspired all the visual. Like, Golden Wolf has taken it to a new level, but how dynamic Scott is like, people have seen nothing. That's like the thing that I'm like, that's man, it's like what your question earlier, like I wish I could just like say everything.
Yeah, just say everything. Here's what I want to ask you is that we talked a lot about the communication and sort of how things have changed over the last 18 months. You very much from the outside looking in, you feel it. And it's felt like, I don't know if it was the day you stepped in or 6 months, whatever. Some point down the line, things just have improved on the communication side, on the rollouts, on the operations. What I want to know is like, how has sort of internal day-to-day, who's doing what, changed since you stepped in?
When I came in like early 2022, we were 6 people, It was tiny, right? Like, and it was every one of us just like putting in a ton of work to set up the right banking infrastructure, to create the legal documents, to actually grow a company and hire people, set up like benefits plans, like do all the things that you need to do to actually create a company, plus do the fundraise, plus build product and like actually hire people and try and own a lot of the process internally. So it was a ton of work, and we didn't prioritize some things that we probably should have prioritized, like communication, especially because shit got really bad. I remember that the first day I left Billboard and officially started was the day that I think it was like the Celsius collapse or something, and crypto started tanking. Everybody started listing their NFTs. My wife is like sending me Daily Mail articles. She's like, crypto's dead. And I'm like, babe, stop reading the fucking Daily Mail. Like,
close the goddamn news.
Yeah, this is not good. But like my point in saying that is things were going really bad, and our community in Web3 as a whole were like really feeling it, just like we were feeling it. Everybody else was feeling it. And we didn't do a good job of showing up and like leading by example. And I think that is the thing that has hurt Doodles the most in this time. Behind the scenes, we've been building this entire time. Like, we've been building infrastructure, we've been setting up the media platform, we've been building the product, like we've been doing all of these things. Internally, as we grew, we started to slow down a little bit because I would have an opinion, Evan would have an opinion, Jordan would have an opinion, Scott would have an opinion, and we all would just kind of go in circles and not make enough decisive action. So we all looked at each other at one point and we're like, look, this needs to change, and we need to like really optimize for speed, because this space rewards speed a lot. And we just need to change the way we're doing things a little bit. And that's pretty much what happened. Like, you saw, like, Jordan's now in an advisory role. Like, he's still extremely active, but he's like mainly focused on Web3 and innovation and building the infrastructure. I'm leading the vision and the direction of the company, and Scott handles all the creative. Evan's taking a little time away, but that setup has actually helped us move so much faster.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's been, the progress we've made in the last 6 months has like truly been remarkable, but it was hard, man. Like, and there's no playbook for any of this stuff.
I was going to say that earlier. I forget what the comment was. I think it was you saying, we were deficient in some areas, didn't do as good as communication. No one writes a playbook for this shit. There is no, like I said this on Spaces all the time, there is not really a clearly defined North Star in NFTs, because you could even look at the top of you could look at Yuga Labs, and they're still very much, the product that they raised all their money on doesn't exist, right? So it's very much this, you're sort of traveling down like a path with, it's pitch black, you have no flashlight, and you're kind of just like feeling it out, because no no one's really done this before, and I think that gets lost.
So when I did the keynote at NFT NYC, it was a big, grandiose keynote. We set the expectations sky high. Like that was completely self-inflicted by us, but we thought that's what everybody wanted to hear, right? Like, and the thing that I think I took a little bit for granted was like, does everybody really know how long this shit takes to actually put out an album, to actually cultivate a television show, to get one of these networks to even give a shit about the IP, like to build out all this infrastructure that you need? Like we were trying to give people a peek into the future. And yeah, we want to be in games. Our gaming track got really screwed up, the things that we could not control.
I can imagine.
But like the Doodles records, the music, the narrative content, like when that shit hits, it's going to be something that no one's ever seen before. Like, and it's coming this year. We set these expectations. It took a long time to develop it. We've had a couple communications blunders. We didn't contextualize some of the moves that we made. And I think that's what, in a bear market, when everybody's looking for you as like their North Star, as their leader, we started to degrade a little bit, right? But I think we've made a very conscious effort to elevate certain people within the company. Like you've seen what Austin's been doing. You've seen what Remy's been doing, Ingy, like all of these people, even Scott is like way more active on social now. So you start seeing these things happen. Everyone can feel the tide turning. Even our biggest haters can tell something's brewing. It's not a joke. Like we're not messing around. Like I'm not trying to like build Doodles quick and be out. Like I'm trying to do this for the rest of my life. And the only way that we're going to be able to do this for the rest of our lives is by having our early supporters like truly believe in what we're doing and how it's going to, you know, how they're going to grow with it.
You know, that Austin guy is great, but you got to get him a new PFP, dude.
Yeah.
You got
He changes his PFP a lot.
You got to get him a new PFP. I mean, look, a couple times now we've sort of beat around it, but you've mentioned it. Music, Doodles records, all of these things.
The music is coming real soon. And it's crazy. It's good. I gave you a little preview. You heard it.
I heard a little something. I mean, I can confirm that things are coming. I can confirm.
The project's rolling out this year. It's going to be a little different than we initially concepted it. It's at the end of the day, it's going to be this groundbreaking content experience that takes part over the course of several months. So it's not going to be like one thing. But I think when people hear the music, I think when they see what the music is attached to, like we talked about it on a Discord, I think in December, but we're putting out like our first content, like major media content moment. Pharrell's doing all the music for it. Golden Wolf is directing it. Scott's directing it. We have Adventure Time alum actually writing the script.
No way.
World building. Yeah. Like
I love Adventure Time.
I mean, I think that one of the things that Pudgy, I think, did really well, they contextualized what Walmart meant. And Walmart was familiar for people. Really familiar. Like, you know, you go to Walmart to shop for toys, to shop for groceries, to shop for apparel. Like many Americans do that. Many people around the world do that. They got in retail at all the top retailers, all the top toy stores in the world. It was so clear what that meant to the community. One, because it was familiar, and two, they did an incredible job of contextualizing it for people and making them understand what it meant for them as holders and what it meant for the NFT and for the brand. We are going to have that moment when people see our stuff trending on Spotify and YouTube. It's going to be familiar for people. People listen to music every single day. Every one of us does. And you know what that experience is like. You're going to see Doodles in that environment, and you're going to see Doodles trending in all the places that you spend time as a viewer of entertainment. And I think it's really going to crystallize for people once that stuff hits. There's going to be no confusion on if Doodles is making waves in culture.
I really like the Walmart comment and just like contextualizing why things are important. Because it feels like, especially in crypto, like 50% of the game really is, half of it's the product and the quality. The other half is like the narrative. And like, how well are you able to articulate what this is and why it matters to holders, to the ecosystem, to the space, to the world at large? And it feels like that sort of gets slept on pretty hard. And there's maybe many announcements, rollouts that have the same level of impact as the ones that get praised. But due to like communication, narrative issues, whatever it is, it doesn't quite get the same, just like the same attention surrounding it.
Even Crocs, right? People are like, oh, they're just like selling us another thing. And my answer to that is always like, you don't have to buy any of the stuff that we put out. If you don't want it, that's completely fine. 60% of the purchasers for Crocs were non-holders.
Is that true?
That's 100%.
That's crazy.
So the key to that is you as a holder should be hyped that Doodles is working with one of the biggest apparel brands in the world. We're getting distributed through their channels, and other people are interested in buying the product. And when we have the studio live and in action, and we have an opportunity to capture those people, we're going to be able to educate them. A lot of people have been talking about like, oh, they have this like, you know, random kind of like Web 2 website, and then this like other Web 3 website that has like all the degen stuff on it. Like, if you were a normal consumer coming in from Crocs or Camp and you went into our old website and saw all that degen shit, you'd be like, what the heck is this? Like,
Yeah.
like we didn't have it organized the right way. So we needed a stopgap. In this new launch, the whole experience is going to be tied together. When somebody from like the G-Shock ecosystem or Crocs ecosystem comes in, or someone coming from Spotify or Instagram or whatever, they're going to be able to come in. We're going to have an easy on-ramp, but once they have an account, they're going to see OG Doodles. They're going to see Genesis boxes. They're going to see the incubator. They're going to see some of the other programs that we're launching, and they're going to start to learn a little bit more about what going deeper into Web3 means. That doesn't mean we're going to get everybody, obviously, but at the end of the day, we are going to be putting it on display, but we're not going to be putting it on display in a way that's a barrier to entry. That's a key thing. And for us, when we talk about like media and partnerships, like I really believe media entertainment is the way to drive audiences and affinity and love for a brand. So if we create content that people keep coming back to and they love, whether it's music or films or social entertainment or whatever, we're going to give ourselves a really good opportunity to pull people into the ecosystem.
Yeah, and music obviously is one of the largest verticals in media. And before I lose it, just, you know, you're talking about Doodles Records, you're talking about Pharrell. Would you say that Pharrell is more involved with Doodles and the vision than maybe the public and holders really realize or give credit for?
100%. People forget that April of last year, Pharrell was literally the face of us bringing our, you know, studio product to market.
Yeah.
We showed up at his music festival, and that was peak bear market at a time where not a single celebrity would show their face in Web3.
That's a great point.
He is all the way leaned in. He's a real part of our company. And just because he's not like tweeting about it and degenning with people, like this guy's the creative director of Louis Vuitton. He has a movie with Lego coming out. He has collabs with Adidas. He has his own auction house and his own brand, Human Race. Like, and right now, if you really think of like what he is, like he's the most important person in culture, and he's a doodle.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, and people don't get it yet, but they're going to get it.
Hey, people sleep on what you just said about the fact that every single person, every single celebrity just like ran for the fucking hills, did not look back, never thought about, talked about, tweeted about NFTs again. Were you at all like worried, for a lack of a better term, Pico bear market? Like, man, everyone's leaving. Like, I don't know about Pharrell. I don't know what's going to happen to Pharrell.
When he got the LV thing, it was like, all right, he's about to get real busy. It didn't change anything. It didn't change anything. He sees what we're doing. I see what we're doing. Everyone at the company sees what we're doing. No one's stressed. The only thing that stresses people right now is how quick we can move to get this stuff out and in the hands of the community. Like, yeah, like running a company, you're always worried. It's up and down. And like in Web3, like, dude, it's like, it's excruciating, but it's intoxicating. The highs are like insane. The lows are like
even worse.
Shit, is this all going down? Like, what's happening? And yeah, like we're all human, but the vision, the conviction people have for the vision, like really hasn't changed. It's been a ride for sure, but we never once questioned anybody's kind of involvement in where we're going.
You love to see that. I'm curious, like when you combine the brand ability and like mass market scalability of the Doodles IP, you combine it with like Pharrell, who you said is like the final boss to stamp culture, which I actually think is a good take. Combine those two with your history at Billboard, position in music, being a very important person in that scene. Like, how does that sort of affect how you think of like partnerships, brand collaborations down the line, forward thinking 24, 25, 26?
I think it's huge because I and a lot of us at the company, Pharrell, like we know how to open doors. We don't know how to just open doors. We know how to bring ideas to life. We know how to close deals. And it's because I have experience doing all of those things. That, I think, is of paramount importance when you're talking about growing a brand with expectations to do it way faster than it's really ever been done. 2 years in, Doodles has hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers on social, millions of views, crazy engagement rates, like partnerships with a ton of like massive global brands. We have a store in Chicago. Like these things don't usually happen for 2-year-old brands. So the fact that we've been able to create that kind of momentum off of, you know, like the craze around NFTs in 2021 and 2022, we have an opportunity that few brands have ever really had. And you put someone like me and Pharrell and like, you know, people with real business development chops at the company. Like if people are interested in Web3, like they're not talking to Doodles.
Yeah. I'm going to say a phrase. Just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Floor it in GTFO.
Was it the move in Discord late at night? Probably not. But like, do I understand it? Of course. Of course. Like, we're not an NFT project. Like, everybody knew what he meant, but everybody wanted to dunk on us.
It's the out of context viral engagement.
Everyone knew what that meant. Everyone knew that not an NFT project anymore meant we are building way outside of this small echo chamber, and we're going to bring people into it so this echo chamber gets a little bit bigger, right? Like we are creating entertainment content. We're making high-end collectibles. We're doing live events. We're about to launch a store in Chicago. Like that's what he meant, right? Like, and at the end of the day, he's beyond passionate, has been here as long as anybody, up and down. Like maybe that wasn't the best style of communication, but like the space owes a lot to Poopy.
Absolutely.
Like the dude innovated in a way that like very few people in the space have. And he's still doing it, bro. Like he's like, I think he's speaking in Dubai on a panel with Luca in a couple months. Like, yeah, like he, you know, like we're building stuff right now. So like, Florida and Get the Fuck Out was not awesome then, but it's gonna go down in history as a pretty.
See, that's even why I bring it up, because it sort of, when I think of that phrase and just like what it symbolized, not even for Doodles, but for like the space at large, that was some bear market shit, right? That was some like worn on, beat down, we're hanging on here by a thread. It sort of like, it's just like symbolizes how far the space, but also like I would imagine internally Doodles, like when you look back at that, it's like, fuck, we've come a long way from the Florida and GTFO days. So it's definitely like props to you all. I had to ask it, of course. How do you think about the "we're not an NFT company" comment now?
We leverage NFTs, blockchain infrastructure to create better experiences for our community, for potential new fans. Like no, Doodles is not just an NFT project. We started as an NFT project, just like Harry Potter started as a book, but you can't really call Harry Potter a book anymore, can you?
No.
Like that is what that comment meant. Like one day when Doodles is in movie theaters and streaming services and millions of followers across social and stores all over the world, no one's going to look at Doodles and be like, oh, that's an NFT project. Like,
you actually got me with the Harry Potter comment. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, like is Pokemon just a trading card game?
Yeah.
Like is Hunger Games, they're not just books.
No.
Marvel, is that just the comic book?
Yeah. Even like Lego now, it's like, is that just a physical toy? Like
Lego was dying. Lego was like done until they launched their entertainment product. And now entertainment IP all over the world want to create content in the Lego entertainment format. So you have Lego Jurassic World content, you have Lego Star Wars content, Harry Potter Lego content. Like
I didn't even really realize that Lego was cooked.
Like their stock price was crazy. Like it was wild.
That's fucking wow.
Entertainment saved the company, and look at it now. Like it's
like, thriving.
Oh my god! And like the history, you could have never taken the history away, but the business model was getting challenged, and now through this new entertainment platform that they've built, it reinvigorated their traditional business and created all these new businesses.
Which they probably couldn't even realize was going to spawn prior to doing any of it.
Dude, Marvel, the story behind how that actually came to life, like the first movie was Iron Man. They couldn't go get a studio deal with anybody. They would normally like take the IP, Spider-Man, license it to Universal or Sony. The Hulk, license it to Universal. Like they would take their individual characters, license it to the theaters, and then the studios, and then the studios would go make their own movies out of it. At one point, Marvel decided to go get investment to actually create Marvel Studios and make their own movies, not license it out. And then they would do a distribution deal with other companies to actually get the movies out there. They got a $500 million investment from Merrill Lynch. The first movie, they got that money back, one movie. Over. And then it was Thor, then it was Captain America, Hulk, and then boom, Disney bought it up. IP can start anywhere. Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
It got acquired for $3.5 billion. Strange Planet has a show on Apple TV. Bear Bricks has a show in development with Apple TV.
Do they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Amazon, what's the Super Plastic has a show in development with Amazon right now. IP can literally start anywhere.
Hopefully that gives some value to my Super Plastic ape toys.
That might.
It's like kind of completely off topic, but I want to ask you, like, you work super closely with Pharrell now. Prior, your position at Billboard, you're, top exec at fucking Billboard. You're meeting all these celebrities, mega global, super international stars. Is there like a common theme or like trait amongst these people you meet that go from star to like global, internationally renowned gigastar that they all sort of like share in common that you've picked up on?
I mean, this is probably going to sound pretty expected, but all of them, they won't stop. They won't quit. Like nothing will get in the way of the vision that they have. And that's not to say that they don't like fall down and get insecure at times, but the people that have good teams around them and the people that have like a hunger to like create, like really create and like put their heart and soul into it. Like there's just like an X factor with people like The Weeknd and people like Pharrell, people like, I don't like, all these people have a burning desire to get better at every single stretch. They don't like put out a project and then like romanticize about that project. They're literally done with it and on to the next. How do I get better next time? How do I get better next time? Oh, I fell down. That album didn't do as well. I don't give a shit. The next one is going to be even better. Like that's probably been the most resounding thing I've seen, like kind of across the board. And that's Latin music, that's hip hop, that's country music. Like every one of those artists, like they're not going to quit trying to get better.
I can imagine that energy like wears off too. Like that Pharrell energy in Doodles, like you have to just like take that shit in and sort of like be inspired by it.
I'll never forget, we had a call with a really big streaming and music platform. And after the call, he calls me and Scott and he's like, they have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, you are like trying to teach them something that they will never understand. You need to figure out a way to like simplify it and just make it easier. Like try thinking about it like this. And it completely changed the way that we pitched the brand and it worked like that. I feel like I'm very good at what I do, but sometimes just like different energy and like, people that have been there, like, winning Grammys, like putting out crazy movies, winning film festival awards, like, like doing what he does, like that energy it's been incredible. I think it's inspired Scott a lot. I can tell you that too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Two just like creative fucking chads going back and forth with it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Word.
Yeah.
I think one of the last things we have to hit here, it's sitting next to me. I got a special box right here. I think we can see it on the camera. Has anybody seen this?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Not publicly.
Can we throw it in this video?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So we got right here G-Shock X Doodles. The branding's fucking sick.
Got the
tin, the mint green, the pastels.
Touch grass hap.
Ooh. Warranty card.
There you go.
Huge.
Need it.
And we got the G-Shock. I mean, we talked a lot about collabs and the whole thing, but talk to me about this one specifically. Like, where did the idea for this come from? How did you even get into contact with G-Shock? We were talking off air. They're pretty massive, and that's
hit the G.
Hit the G. Where is she? Yeah. That's incredible.
Brandon was like, yo, we got to do a deal with G-Shock. And he knew them, like Brandon managed like streetwear, streetwear influencers and like artists and stuff like that before he came to Doodles. And he has a lot of these like, kind of cultural brand partner relationships that he's had. He's like, we got to do a deal with G-Shock. Like they're like, it's perfect for, he's got like a very good eye for the kind of brands that work with our brand.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So like Crocs.
Crocs is a perfect one, by the way, especially with the, I don't know what you,
the gibbets.
The gibbets. Yeah. Like it's sort of.
That, so that one, this one, like the other stuff that we have coming this year, like it's going to be like, they're all going to feel really organic. Like I said, like we're not going to try and do anything that's not like, people are going to be like, oh, why would they do that one? That's funky.
I've always wondered, like, what does the process look like from, in the timeline, I guess, from like, oh shit, we should do a collaboration to G-Shock to like, you're here in Venice handing me this watch and it's in my hand.
So we started having conversations with G-Shock in like late 2022. We put some ideas together. We had to delay because the studio was a little like, because this, by the way, a couple things, let me explain and then I'll answer that question. Cool. So you buy that watch and it's going to be like a G-Shock box that comes with it. So you're actually going to be able to get a bunch of like digital wearables that you're going to be able to put on your Doodles avatar.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And they're not going to quite look like that. They're going to have their own variations of it. But like the whole point is like you get the physical and you also get this digital experience. So if you're somebody that's coming in from the G-Shock channels and not a Doodles holder that doesn't know anything about our experience, you're going to get, I shouldn't call it a free NFT. The NFTs are priced into the package.
Yeah.
But you're going to get an NFT that you can put on your Doodles avatar and you're going to start to be able to do more stuff with your Doodles avatar. So people are going to come in, create this cool character, put this new G-Shock thing that they have on it and kind of create some cool content. Like it's going to be socially exportable and all that stuff. The cool thing is if you're a holder, like it's not on this box, but you saw that the campaign is with the green alien.
Yeah.
So there's 12 aliens in the original collection.
Is that the Steve Aoki alien?
He's got one of them.
Okay.
He's got the brown one.
Okay.
So there's 12, all hand-drawn by Scott. They're some of the rarest in the whole collection. 2 of them, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but 2 of them are the green aliens. The green alien is the thing that inspired the campaign. So we developed the character around those 2 NFTs. So all aliens are actually going to get a redemption package. We're going to airdrop them an 1155 token right to their wallet. And then the 2 aliens are going to get a different package. So what's going to be included in the token is the right to redeem some of the capsule collection that we're making around it, the watch, and a signed vinyl. We have our new vinyl coming out.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
sick. The SK Lamb vinyl.
Okay.
All rights reserved vinyls. We have an alien coming. The 12 aliens are all going to get a signed version of that. And then the 2 green aliens are going to get a piece of Scott's sketchbook signed by Scott that inspired the whole campaign. Only 2 of them. If nobody wants the merch, I think they'd be crazy not to redeem the stuff. But if nobody wants it, they can sell it to someone that does. So we look at that as a way of rewarding the fact that your thing, your NFT, inspired the campaign, inspired the character. And we look at it as a way like actually like building and representing with the community. But I didn't answer your question. So how long? Late 2022.
Okay.
Started doing a bunch of meetings, brainstorming. They're based in Japan. So we needed to have like a lot of conversations. Time zones weren't easy.
Time zones are tough.
Put the concept together, got the concept approved. That takes a couple months. Get through legal work. That takes another couple months. And then boom, you start production on the actual physical, which is the thing that takes the most time. That took like 6 months. You're talking about a brand that has like a lot of pipeline for their production. So like that took 6 months. We probably could have released it at the end of the year, but we wanted to tie it to the studio coming out of beta. So like the real functionality of it could be, could truly be seen. But yeah, I mean, these deals take 6 months to a year. It's a lot of work. Hundreds of emails.
One of those things you underestimate as well. I really like the digital like twin or component that comes with this. Is that something you are thinking about like long-term here? Is like the physical, collectible collaboration arm of Doodles will also be this like Trojan horse vehicle to onboard people?
100%. It already has been.
Yeah.
I mean, like there were, like I said, 60% of the Crocs buyers were non-holders.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So now they're following Doodles on Instagram. We unfortunately didn't have the studio built out enough. Like a couple of them actually redeemed beta passes and got into the studio, but we think that redemption rate's going to get a lot higher with this drop. And then as we continue to go, like yeah, you're not just buying a watch, you're buying a watch with a digital experience that comes with it. And then when we do the next partnership that we have coming in the spring, like you're going to be able to get a digital experience tied to the physical product. So people are coming in and doing things that feel a lot more like skinning avatars in Fortnite and Roblox, but actually getting onboarded to NFTs because we're making it familiar. Like the studio is going to have walletless onboarding. So if you're someone that knows nothing about Web3, the tech and MetaMask and Phantom and all that stuff is not going to get in the way of you having a good experience just as a general consumer. But if you have stuff in your wallet and your wallet's connected, you're going to get the Web3 experience. You want to self-custody your assets, you can do that. The whole point is a personalized experience and not having the technology be a barrier to anybody that just wants to vibe with the collab or the content or whatever else it is we're making.
Do you think the fact that it's like an NFT project is a bit like, we know it's a barrier for people? I guess a better way to phrase it is, do you think the work that Doodles has done as a brand to sort of get into like, we are the next generation of media, we're not necessarily like an NFT project, has that made the bridge or the pipeline for a normal person that bought a pair of Crocs with Doodles on it to then get onboarded into the ecosystem? Like, has that smoothed the process a little bit despite bear market, despite bad price, despite all of that?
100%. I think like when you think of the biggest brands in the world, it's really easy to work with Doodles because we are creating those kinds of experiences. If you're trying to just like if you're trying to convince Crocs to just do like, and I'm not saying they'll never do this, but like just to do like some drop on ETH where they're making like digital pictures of shoes, like no one cares about that. And frankly, like their audience is never going to onboard into that kind of environment. So for us, we found a lot of value and our partners have found a lot of value in the fact that like we have a funnel that can bring people into the culture. Like Crocs does want to reach Web3. G-Shock does want to reach Web3, but the whole thing in 2021 and 2022 was like, I can make anything and make money. So you had a bunch of entertainment studios making like pictures of like crappy Game of Thrones characters and like all these other things that no one really cared about, but it was so easy to make money. The consumer products teams at all these companies were the ones launching these projects. But our pitch to brands is like, don't go do your own thing. Do it with Doodles first and set yourself up for some good vibes in Web3 and then learn and go do your own thing.
Honestly, what you said is just a fucking bar. It is like, we make it easy to work with Doodles. Like, that's something I've even had to like look internally on my content and the spaces of the podcast, whatever. It's like, yeah, you have these aspirations to work with these big brands, these big guests, whatever it is. But it's also like half of it, if not more, is on you to set up the channels where it is easy for them to come in, look at you, be like, yes, we can do this partnership. Because it's like one thing to be interested and be like, oh, they're doing some cool shit over there. It's another thing to be like, I'm going to put my reputation on the line for them.
100%.
And I like that you said that. Like, we make it easy to work with Doodles because I think that aspect gets slept on in
100%.
Many verticals.
We had a meeting with a really big entertainment company a couple weeks ago, and they were like, we love the way you're approaching us because it's all about storytelling and you haven't said this NFT or that NFT, and the whole goddamn meeting was about NFTs. But they didn't get it because it doesn't matter. Like, it matters to the people it matters to. And for 99% of people in the world, all they really care about is having a good experience. When you do a Zoom call with somebody or when you listen to something on Spotify, you're not sitting there pondering like how technically that's working. Like, you just care that it works. You just do it. I think NFTs, to truly onboard people, there needs to be that kind of experience, which is why we have the flow experience.
And this is why there's this whole like narrative, definitely a bear market narrative, that like we need to change the term NFT. The problem is not the word NFT. The problem is the reality of what NFTs are. Like, the word is not the problem. We could change it to whatever you want. The space is still the fucking space.
It's that everybody that plays Fortnite, how many people do you think know that it's built on Unreal? None. Like,
even less care.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're the people that are inside, right? To the people that are inside, they care about that stuff. But to 99% of the audience, and for us right now, like as we're building out to that audience, like we just need to make dope shit that people care about.
Facts. And so let's bring it full circle then. Is that when everything that Doodles builds on Flow is like mass adopted by the mass market, and they come on, they get a dope experience, they're fucking around with new trades, trying on outfits, space doodles, whatever it is. They don't give a fuck if it's on Flow.
No.
Right?
Not at all.
Just the same, they care about it the same amount that they care that Fortnite was built in Unreal versus whatever the other
They don't get, I'll go even further. They don't even give a shit if it's on the blockchain.
Yeah.
The thing that's going to click for people at some point is that because it's on the blockchain, what I did there, the time that I spent there, I can go bring to another environment that I spend my time in. That is when it's really going to unlock for people.
Yeah.
And the more people that come into the ecosystem, the more that should impact the NFT, because if you have millions of people following your brand, and trust me, we are going to have that. Maybe people don't see it yet, but like we're going to have that this year. All those people all of a sudden learn what our first edition Pokemon cards are. Yeah, you don't think people are going to want that?
There you go.
Especially when the crypto cycle hits again and all the fucking celebrity grifters come back into the space and they're trying to, you know, buy up all the apes and the Pudgies and the Azukis and the Doodles. Like, it's definitely going to be a thing. And our work right now, the stuff that might be, to be honest, I don't even think it's like totally misunderstood. I think it's just not serving people right now, which is the thing that is probably the biggest
They
issue.
understand it, but it's not happening right now.
And in reality, like, also think about like what people do with NFTs, right? Like it's your identity. Yeah. It's like who you are. It's how you communicate with the world through these social platforms. Like, we're building tools in the studio for you to do that more. So like there are a lot of people in our community. It's not everybody. Like a lot of people really like the financial side of this thing, and that's cool. Like there's no issue with that. But at the end of the day, there is a core part of our community that really cares about the stuff that you can do with the IP. And the studio is going to be a really great tool to create more content, to share content. Like, it's a build, man. Everybody's seeing this stuff in real time. It's like I can't really remember a time where anything was like this.
That's honestly.
People are like, wait a minute, Instagram, you're doing this with Python instead of this service platform? Like, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, like that's honestly and that's why it gives so much legitimacy to this like blockchain agnostic thesis of like, it matters now, but it doesn't really matter, and it only matters because the people that were early to specific blockchain or tribe care 100%.
Well, one thing I also want to mention, like, just like, I don't want to like leave this podcast without saying it. Like, yeah, we're doing all that stuff to attract the masses, but like we are hyper focused on the core community this year and how that top of funnel trickles down to the NFT, to the community, to the holders, and doing a lot of the things that holders want. So I'm not going to say much more than that, but I'm going to say a lot of like the gripes, that people have had with Doodles are not going to be a thing this year.
Let me ask you this. Like, if we took the free money angle out of the picture completely, what do holders want?
I think a big subset of the community really wants to feel like they're part of something, because for a really long time, it's why creators are big, right? Like, it's why you and Farouk and like brands that are built around an individual mean more to people than Vice and Complex and all of these media platforms. Yeah. Like, if you don't see what's happening, you're not paying attention, and people truly want to feel connection, especially in a world that is about to get, like, if content distribution is fragmented now, wait till the AI trash starts hitting the internet. The connection to you, the connection to Doodles, the connection to like brands that actually have a relationship with the people that they're speaking to, that shit is legitimately priceless to both ends of it, to the community and to the company.
When I asked it, I was like, fuck, that was a little bit of a tough, I don't even know the answer. It's kind of a tough question. What you said was a literal bar. So I love that. They want to feel like they're part of something. It's so real. Also, like, mini AI tangent, you're 100% right. I also feel like in the age of AI, in the age of everything is fake and artificial, interactions like this, like human interactions, human content, that you are like a part of a conversation two real people are having, not an AI, not a robot, not a computer, not a GPU somewhere. Price on that goes up like hockey stick exponentially.
100%. And I do worry that like all this deep fake technology is getting so crazy that like you could fake this, but that's where the blockchain comes
Yep.
in. That's the, like, I think Austin said it the other day, like blockchains are the counterweight to AI.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be more true. Like, how do you authenticate that this actually came from Threadguy?
Yeah.
Like when we think Web3, I think AI is part of that. Like we're building AI tooling into the studio so people can create content with the IP, they can share content.
Speed. Course speed.
100%. I don't think people are ready for how fast that's coming, but
No.
like the change.
We'll just keep pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, before we get out of here, like you joined Doodles 18 months ago. To be fair, you joined like a pretty shitty time, like in the way the market shifted, the way the dynamics went, the way Celsius, FTX, just the way things played out. It was a very interesting time. I'm sure looking back now, the experience was giga valuable. We'll be back there at some point, right? We might be up only for 2 more years, 3 more years. We will be back to that point where it's Pico Bear. People are just like desperate to find something to be angry about. Everything is down, price is down. I can imagine internal is as low as you could fucking get. And as we're like starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or maybe we're already out of the tunnel, Doodles survived. You are still here. You are still crushing it. It feels like now more than ever, the energy, the narrative, the sentiment is back in prospering. And there aren't a lot of projects I think you can look at and be like, oh shit, you survived those 2 years. You all did it. And I just want, like, we will be back there at some point. And I guess the question, long way of asking, like, how do you do it? How did you keep the spirits high? How did you make it through what was a pretty brutal bear market, all things considered?
The fundraise definitely didn't hurt. You know, like we could invest when other people had no idea how to make money for themselves. Like the merch business is hard. A media business is hard. Like the funding let us truly invest. And I mean, you know, like this might be a spicy take, but there's like 5 hopes left from that time to like really break out. And there's a lot of interesting upstart stuff happening that I think could like hit a run and like, you know, build. But like the head start that a few of us have, any one of us wins, it's huge for the whole space.
Absolutely.
And there's a few of us that are like really pulling in the lead. So like for me, the last couple years, while it's been really difficult, it may have been a long-term blessing in disguise.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt that like NFTs are tied to the price of crypto and we will go up and we will go down again. But if the next time we go down, Doodles is all over the world, that's really when the I want to be part of something comes in. And I think there are certain projects during this bear that made their community feel like they're part of something. And it's not a surprise why they're doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and honestly, the 5 wasn't a spicy take. I was going to say like 3.
It's probably right. Come on, I'm trying to.
I love it. I love it. I mean, look, first of all, fucking appreciate you coming on. It's an incredible conversation. We covered a lot of shit in this pod. Is there anything that I left out or we didn't cover you want to emphasize as we just like wrap up here? 2024, it's January, but it's been a big month, big year for you all already. Like, how are we feeling just onward looking 24 in the future?
I feel like everybody feels that like things are turning and that the energy around the space is shifting, and like a lot of people that you haven't seen on Twitter in a long time are back in the
coming back,
right? Like it is all happening. Like, you know, your grandparents start asking you about Bitcoin, like all these things are happening. And I think you're going to see from the top players in the space shit that if you would have told everybody was going to happen at Mint, they would have been over the moon. But we've already done stuff, a lot of us, that would keep people over the moon. But I think we're just scratching the surface. And I can look at a few of us that are really, really building and are primed for kind of this next leg up. And I'm really excited for people to see it. Like, I'm excited for people to like really like Doodle holders have had a hard time the last 18 months, the last year, defending the project, defending our moves. My biggest accomplishment this year and the team's biggest accomplishment will be people being proud at the end of the year. Like, you're not going to have to wait too much longer. You're not going to have to defend yourselves too much longer. Like, we're going to make everybody real proud this year. So that's all I can say. I'd say we should probably hop back on, you know, when we make a few more announcements. Let's just keep this going, man. Like, your culture, there's so much culture happening in this space. Like, it's real. It's not just like It's not a bubble, and everybody should really know that. I've seen a lot of it. There's so much love, and love is complex. Think about your own families. Like, it's not just all happy all the time. Like, this space is the shit, and I'm not going anywhere. I said it the other day on Twitter, like, I'm literally not leaving. So you're kind of, everybody's stuck with me and the rest of the team at Doodles for a while.
You got me fucking fired up, dude. Look, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this incredible conversation with the CEO of Doodles, Julian. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Fucking pleasure.
Cool.
Banger, bro.